It's my nerd world, and welcome to it. What is this? A Thursday episode? What is happening? What is going on? Yeah, that's right. You get a bonus episode this week. Kind of. All right, there's a reason why I'm putting out an episode today, and I will explain in just a moment. We do have things to talk about. This is all pre-May the 4th. A virtual Star Wars convention to launch for May the 4th on Monday. I'll talk a little bit about the Clone Wars. I'll tell you why you're getting a special episode on a Thursday. And we're going to get to your listener feedback. How's that sound? I think it sounds fantastic. Let's talk about Star Wars, shall we?
Nothing will stand in our way.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I will finish what you started.
Who are you? I'm no one.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
The Force. It's calling to you. Just let it in.
Yes, that's right. It is My Nerd World, and I'm your host, Jon Justice, for a Star Wars podcast special Thursday release edition. All right, so the reason why you're getting a show on Thursday is because I love you, and I think you're wonderful. Okay, that's only part of the reason. The reason why you're getting a show today is because May the 4th is Monday, and we need May the 4th right now, because everything still kind of sucks. So I'm really excited for May the 4th. And because we're getting the last two episodes Friday for the Clone Wars, and then we're getting the final one on May the 4th, I thought, you know what? Let's do an episode today. Going to be a little shorter, but we'll do an episode today, kind of get everybody up to speed on what's going on. And then on Monday, after the debut, or the finale debuts of the Clone Wars, you'll get another episode on Monday. So therein lies the deal. The other reason why, being completely transparent, is I am very pleased to announce that today is launch day for the third book that completes the trilogy in my EMBARK science fiction space opera series. I know a lot of you guys have gotten sick and tired of me talking about it on the show, but selling books is hard, and the podcast is free. So, no, I'm really excited to announce that EMBARK Book 3, The Vanishing War, is now available. And all you need to do to get it is to go to mynerdworld.net. Sam Sansevier, the producer on the radio show that I do here at Twin Cities News Talk, here in Minneapolis, was kind enough to do a revamp on the website, and she did a fantastic job. So if you go to mynerdworld.net, where you can also find this podcast, and all kinds of different information, stuff about the show, there's artwork on there. But if you go to mynerdworld.net, you can purchase the books right there from the website. It'll take you to Amazon, but it's the easiest way to handle it. So today's launch day. And so I wanted to make sure, and I always intended to put out a special episode, but this really fit into the whole plan, considering that Monday is May the 4th be with you. So we're really excited about that. I'll talk a little bit more about the book at the end of the show. I want to give you some details about the story and the different formats that you can get. But let's get into the show this week. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about the Clone Wars on that special Monday episode. But the episode that aired on last Friday, man, it is just incredible. And I know I've got some emails that I'll share with you guys coming up. It blew away my expectations. It really, really did. These final 4 episodes of the Clone Wars are just absolutely incredible. And as I mentioned last week, they are very different from the other episodes that we've seen in this final season. Those ones were already planned. This is the whole reason, right? This movie, and this is the way that it's been described is as a movie, because it's 4 episodes, almost a half hour each. It really is a movie. I really hope that at some point, and I hope that Lucasfilm and Disney do it, but I want these final episodes to be seamlessly spliced into Revenge of the Sith to see how this plays out. I think that would be absolutely incredible. But this episode that aired on Friday was just absolutely amazing, and I talked about it a little bit last weekend. New episode coming up on Friday, and then another one on Monday, and I, for one, cannot wait to see it. If you haven't checked out the Star Wars show this week, it's a long one. It's about 25 minutes long, and of course, everybody is social distancing on the show, right? So, Andy Gutierrez and Anthony Carboni are, they're all doing video streams, and Anthony Daniels is on there, and it's fine. It's a nice episode, considering the limitations of what we all have to deal with, right? Especially when it comes to visual mediums. It was a very entertaining episode, but if you haven't watched it yet, go to YouTube and watch it, because there's a great interview with David W. Collins, who interviews Dave Filoni and George Lucas talking about the Clone Wars. And I can't get enough of listening to the master talk about what he created in George Lucas. He's quirky, man, but he created this universe, and to listen to him talk about the Clone Wars and Star Wars in general, it never ceases to be fascinating to me. And Dave Filoni is becoming that way, because Dave Filoni, to me, is one of the few individuals who truly gets and understands Star Wars. I know this is going to be blasphemy for some people. I really feel like Rian Johnson got and understands Star Wars. I will say this: for as much as The Rise of Skywalker is currently my favorite Star Wars movie, I would say that J.J. Abrams doesn't get Star Wars as good as those other individuals I just mentioned. And that's probably something for a larger discussion on another show. How can that be my favorite Star Wars movie, but the guy that made it doesn't get Star Wars as good as the other guys? You cannot fully understand and get Star Wars and still make a really good Star Wars product that's entertaining, in my opinion. And that may sound completely contradictory, but the way my mind works, it makes sense to me. So go and check out that Star Wars show episode if you haven't gone and watched it yet. It really is worth your time. The other news item I wanted to report, and then we'll get to some listener feedback, is from the Hollywood Reporter. ReepPop, the organization behind... Oh, hold on, I got to pause this. So that was hardly worth stopping the podcast for. So I'm expecting to do another show today for the launch of EMBARK, the Vanishing War, and so I hadn't gotten anything confirmed. So I got a phone call from Phoenix, which is where I'm supposed to be doing the interview, and I thought and it wasn't. It was Visa calling me. I don't edit the shows. I mentioned this before, but if you didn't know that, because I'm a radio talk show host, I just prefer to do it like it's live. So I'm not live, I'm recording it, but I don't like to edit the shows because I like the fresh live feel, and I'd like to think that you do too. So, ReepPop, the organization behind Star Wars Celebration, is hosting an online revelry. May the 4th be with you and Revenge of the 5th. Fan conventions have gone on hiatus as COVID-19 continues to keep the world on lockdown. But that isn't preventing the New York Comic-Con and Star Wars Celebration organizers, ReepPop, from marking next week's Star Wars Day. The 2-day online revelry, May the 4th be with you, and Revenge of the 5th celebration, features multiple virtual events, including live tweeting, movies, and episodes for both Star Wars: The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, as well as Q&A sessions and discussions with writers and voice actors with the franchise. Fans will be able to take part in trivia quizzes and prize giveaways across the May 4th and 5th period, with ReepPop encouraging usage of the hashtags, hashtag May the 4th be with you and hashtag Revenge of the 5th, for those participating. Events will take place across multiple social media accounts associated with ReepPop properties: New York Comic-Con, C2E2, BookCon, Emerald City Comic-Con, Florida SuperCon, and both Twitter and Facebook. The announcement of the online revelry event follows similar virtual conventions that have replaced canceled traditional shows in the past couple of months, as fans and creators alike search for a quarantine-safe alternative to the convention season of old. The most profile convention to be canceled to date remains to be San Diego Comic-Con, which was due to take place at the end of July. So far, it's unknown whether ReepPop Star Wars Celebration, currently scheduled for the 27th to the 30th in Anaheim, will similarly be forced from the calendar. And I hope it's not. And I hope it's not from the standpoint of we reached a place in the United States where we can go and enjoy these things again. So here's some of the items you got on here. New York Comic-Con, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, live tweet going on. A Q&A with Ashley Eckstein. The Star Wars Clone Wars finale, live tweet with New York Comic-Con. A Q&A with Vanessa Marshall, voice of Hera Syndulla, one of my favorite characters. Star Wars Rebels Episode Watch. Star Wars Day, the authors, interviews with authors of Star Wars novels. a live tweeting session with Star Wars for The Empire Strikes Back, and one for Return of the Jedi. And then on the 5th, we get a Revenge of the Sith live tweet with Florida SuperCon. Let's see what else we got. A roundtable, Charles Soule, Greg Pak, Jody Hauser, Kieran Gillian. And Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker live tweet. You can take quizzes, share photos, post your favorite Star Wars moments on social media as well. Look, this is a really cool event. They're also doing a solo Star Wars story live tweet with the Emerald City Con as well. And again, this is all in the Hollywood Reporter, and I believe if you go to the ReepPop webpage, you can get more details there. But virtual Star Wars convention to launch for May 4th. Look, it's really cool, and I'm glad that ReepPop is doing that and trying to do something for us fans that are stuck at home and without these conventions going on. You know, it's a difficult time for everybody right now. That goes without saying. And any moment that any of us can take to get away from what's happening right now in the world, and it does feel like things are starting to turn a corner, though, right? It does feel like that. I feel like, while it's still difficult, depending on where you live. I feel like that we're beginning to see the light at the light at the end of the tunnel, and I certainly pray that is the case. All right, that takes care of the sort of the content portion of the show in terms of topics. Let's get into some listener feedback.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
Again, you can email talkshownerd@gmail.com. You can also join the mailing list for the EMBARK stories and the podcast by just emailing me, talkshownerd@gmail.com, or leave a comment up on YouTube. And Miranda, I got to apologize. I missed this comment in the last show that we did. So I'm going to make up for it now. Miranda writes this: I was 7 years old when The Phantom Menace came out. It was the very first Star Wars movie that I ever saw in theaters. I didn't understand the plot back then, but it was cool enough to keep me engaged and interested. I didn't know that there was a discourse in the fandom war going on, nor did I care. I was a kid. None of that mattered to me. All I knew was this was something amazing that I'd never saw before, and it was just amazing beyond words. This is how you're supposed to feel when watching Star Wars, a Star Wars film. You forget about what's going on in your own world around you, and you indulge in an unbelievable, extraordinary make-believe world right in front of you, but in a way that does feel real because Star Wars is magic. And I have to say that Dune looks quite fascinating. There's a chance that I might have read that email. It could have just been that I read it before and didn't do it on the show. So either way, if I read it on the show already, you got a double. You got a double there, Miranda. Thank you for the email. All right, here's another one from Miranda. This one we did cover on last week's show. All right, I'm looking at my email. I kind of went into this thing. I kind of went into this today. Not quite as prepped as I normally am. So, Dale Erdman writes this: Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 10 is one of the best, and probably the best lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars, just my opinion. Yeah, man, Dale, it was pretty rad. Just watched the last 2 episodes of Clone Wars. Wow, writes Jesse Newman. The Lowdown Show, friend of my Edwin. My family watched the Clone Wars too. It was incredible. My wife even got into it and asked, why don't they do a live-action Ahsoka? I told her they are. That's right, because they are. Very excited about that. Let's see. TMB writes this. I think I got a couple from TMB, don't I? I do. All right, first one. Hey, John, after listening to your response last week to my comment and rewatching the entire sequel trilogy, I'm starting to see where you come from in terms of the story and what the trilogy can mean to people. And if I'm not mistaken, TMB didn't care as much for the Rise of Skywalker. I think that's what it was. Now I see it as Rey is representative of what Palpatine left behind in terms of the galaxy and in the ruins of the old empire. But like Finn, good nature can turn against the dark side. In her journey of realizing the impossible within herself, and at the end of the day, the last possible part of Palpatine's plan turned against him. TMB goes on to say, also, when you do a rewatch on Revenge of the Sith, my favorite Star Wars movie, could you spend some time dissecting Yoda, the Yoda versus Palpatine duel? I think Yoda had the upper hand, but not sure. Also, why was Yoda struggling to deflect Palpatine's lightning, but Rey could deflect it easily? I'm going to save this email because I want to address this when I do the Revenge of the Sith episode, which might be on Monday's show, but most likely it'll be on the following Friday show. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I want to focus Monday's show on just the Clone Wars, and then I'll do my rewatch of Revenge of the Sith on the next weekend show. But in terms of the lightning and Rey could easily deflect it, my headcanon is because the comment, I am all the Jedi, that the voices that she was trying to connect with the voices of the past, they were encouraging her and giving her strength to rise up, and without having them there, she was literally, probably using that wrong, but she was the actual embodiment of all the Sith in that moment, which is why she could deflect it. An interesting tidbit rumor when Palpatine revealed himself to Anakin, I read somewhere that an earlier script had Anakin moving to strike him, but Palpatine used the Force to defend himself. Is that canon? A big thank you. Looking forward to the Revenge of the Sith rewatch. Yeah, I don't know. I had not heard that before, but like I said, TMB, I'm going to save your email because I want to go back and make sure that I address what it was that you said. Miranda writes again. It's Sunday morning, and what am I doing? Painting and watching Rise of Skywalker. I want to make another comment. I talk about Rise of Skywalker a lot because I love that movie so much. I just find it wildly entertaining, and I just that's why every beat of that movie and the way it plays out, I just find absolutely entertaining. And it might have something to do with J.J. Abrams, because I find J.J. Abrams movies to be infinitely rewatchable. But The Rise of Skywalker is way more rewatchable for me than The Force Awakens is for some reason. Because to me, it feels it's very much J.J. Abrams Star Wars. And I guess for me as a fan, The Force Awakens was J.J. Abrams doing a Star Wars movie. The Rise of Skywalker is a J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie. Like, I can rewatch the 2010 J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie over and over and over again, not because I'm a massive Star Trek fan, but because I just love that movie. I think it's fantastic space opera. And he even said he was trying to make something akin to a Star Wars movie. And so with The Rise of Skywalker, to me, it's pure Star Wars because it's Star Wars and J.J. Abrams. All right. Just wanted to get that out there. Let's see here. JJ writes this. Hey, John, I'm so ready for this pandemic to be over. I do hope for safety for all until it's over. Got a couple of things that she wants to write here, so let's get into it. Padme and Anakin romance was the best part of Attack of the Clones for me. As far as a man doing romance, I think George did the romantic aspect well for both the original and the prequels. And when I look back at the other films he wrote the story for, he gets what I want to see in my romantic elements in the Star Wars realm. It's not heavy, but the moments you get are enough. And in defense of Attack of the Clones and quite a bit of Anakin and Padme, the story had to be told in order to progress the Skywalker Vader story. Now, Gen G goes on to say, this is Gen G, right? I believe so. It goes JJ here, but I'm pretty sure it's Gen G. JJ doesn't do romance well. Not that I don't like JJ's vision otherwise, because I do. But romance ain't this thing. And in his last trilogy, Ryan did it way better. I'm personally okay with the way JJ does romance, but to each their own. Still, George balanced all aspects of the story better all around, even if the story wasn't the best. JJ does fun, action-packed well. He reminds me of Steven Spielberg. I'll give you that. Just my opinion, of course, but I can see where females love The Last Jedi were let down by The Rise of Skywalker. You know, and it's just so interesting because, again, that for as much as so many women hated the end of The Rise of Skywalker, me as a dude and a hopeless romantic absolutely loved it. That's why art's subjective, right? It's all about what you need in your Star Wars content versus being all right with the writer's vision of that. Again, beating a dead horse here, but the box office trilogy doesn't need different directors, etc. for that very reason. I won't get into what the Phantom Menace needs other than to say they need to never be seen or heard. They need never seen or heard Star Wars material, and even still. Let's see. No. And not that you asked, but my top 4 COVID-19 fave Star Wars characters are Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, Hera, another fan, that's right, Baby Yoda, I'm down with that, the child, Din Djarin, Mandalorian. Of course, this list will fluctuate, as all lists should, except for Kylo, Ben, of course, and maybe Hera. Who am I kidding? Top 3 are a lock. And this is now an essay. I will take my leave. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Friend of the show, Brian Martin writes, why is the film called Rise of Skywalker? Because at the end of the film, Rey becomes a Skywalker. That's the way I took it. You can also use Ben Solo as that, too. I think there's a dual meaning there. I think Ben Solo, Kylo Ren coming back to Ben Solo and being a Skywalker also accounts there. But I take it as Rey becoming a Skywalker. Okay. Let's see. And that's it. Okay, that's all we got for this week. I told you I was going to keep it quick. All right, so before I let you go, I'll do my spiel as I often do my spiel. If you want to support my Nerd World and the podcast that I do every week, I don't do Patreon. I don't plan on doing Patreon, but I do encourage you, and I hope that you would find enjoyment from my science fiction space opera series, EMBARK. The Vanishing War is out today on paperback and on ebook. So go and pick up your copy by going to mynerdworld.net. And you can pick up your copy there. Also get the first 2 books if you haven't already. This is the story of EMBARK, The Vanishing War, written by yours truly, Jon Justice. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to put it to music. I think I can do that. I can. Let's do that, shall we? All right. The war for peace is about to begin. Having faced a stunning defeat at the hands of the evil Supreme Commander, Sint Argum, longtime friends and leaders of a brave resistance, Taft, Katha, Ven, and Jabet must prepare for the inevitable attack on their homeworld, while the ruthless and powerful D-Corp amasses the largest military fleet in human history. A lone pilot arrives with vital information for the Raider Alliance on Zima. Escaping Earth and starting a new life in a far-off solar system was just the beginning. Conflict is on the horizon, and only Taft, Katha, and their ragtag group of freedom fighters, armed with the truth, can stop it. EMBARK, The Vanishing War marks the epic conclusion to the opening trilogy in the EMBARK series by Jon Justice Lojudice. Hey, that's me. MyNerdWorld.net is where you can go and pick up your copy, and I hope you will because you want to read it, and I hope you will because you want to support my Nerd World and the podcast that I do. They are good for all ages. And I wrote them intentionally to be just that, so that kids from 11 years old and up, right on up to my dad's age, his prime age in the 70s, can all go and enjoy these books and get something out of them. So I hope you'll head on over to mynerdworld.net and pick up your copy, or go to Amazon.com and look for EMBARK, Jon Justice. Really good reading while you're stuck at home as we continue with these ridiculous stay-at-home orders. All right, and that's it. Thank you so much for checking out the show this week. We will be back on Monday for a special May the 4th Be With You episode. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week for Friday and weekend, and I'll talk to you again here in just a few days. May the Force be with you, and now here's Obi-Wan Kenobi to tell you the same thing. MyNerdWorld.net. Go get your copy of EMBARK Book 3. Bye.
The Force will be with you, always.
My Nerd World.